and welcome to 50 Movies in 50 Weeks. I'm your host, Joey Hollywood, and I'm trying to get through all 50 movies in this 50 movie box set from Mill Creek in 50 weeks. The movie I watched today was another Starman movie, which I've already forgotten the name of, but have it written down here. It's called Attack from Space from 1964. And before I started watching this movie, I thought for sure I had seen the Starman movie before. I was like, Attack from Space, I've seen that one. But apparently there is just a bunch of movies that have in space in the title, so I don't think I've seen this one. I looked through like my entire playlist of this series and I didn't see it. I saw Invaders from Space. I saw Morons from Space. Saw a bunch of movies. I don't think I did this one unless I'm blind and missed it. But like as I was watching it, I was like, have I seen this one? Because they all begin the same. All these Starman movies are exactly the same. But this one has some things I'd like to point out because it does separate them a little bit from it. Massive sets in this one. This movie takes place on a space station for the most part. There's also like an underground lab, which looks strikingly similar. But the space station is very interesting because it's such a large set. And the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, wow, this is such a big set. I wonder why it's so big. And then there's just an overly long fight scene at the end, which is just standard for these Starman movies. And I realized, oh, that's why the set's so big. So they have room to just fight for 35 minutes straight. And of course the fight scenes are all like very fun, despite being too long. Like reversing footage and dummies and that kind of thing. It's very, it's like all the scenes of Superman being Superman in the George Reeves Superman show, but just a montage of it for 30 minutes. The villains of this are interesting. They look like Nazis. They look like space Nazis. You know, they just have their standard, like, take over the world shtick. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of plot to go from here. I remember there was one of these that we watched that was... There was a subplot about them releasing a virus that was wiping out Earth. There was not that really interesting connective tissue in this to really latch on to. That's why I hope this is the last Starman movie because there's not a lot to talk about. And it's not that they're bad movies or that I dislike them. Because I remember when we did the Peplums, the Sword and Sandal movies. I was miserable through that because there was nothing to talk about. And I didn't enjoy watching the movies. I, for the most part, enjoyed watching this one from like a contextual perspective. Like, oh, this probably would have been fun if I was a kid in the 60s. The Peplums, I hated those. Could not get into those at all. But these ones I thought, they're fun enough, but I don't have a lot to talk about when it comes to them. I can reference the George Reeves Superman show, and the fun fights, the cool miniatures. There's a really awesome like miniature of the space station that every time they cut to it I really like. But beyond that, I don't have a lot to bring to this review, and I always feel bad. But that's kind of the negative aspect of doing a show like this. Is not every week you're going to have something interesting to talk about. And especially with Starman, which I've covered like 6 of these already, and there's only so many times you can say the same thing. But not a bad movie. If you like this kind of thing, this is going to be for you. It's not for me, but it could be for you. So if you're into this stuff, definitely watch it. I honestly, if Mystery Science Theater or Riff Tracks did something like this, I think it could greatly improve the entertainment experience. But just on its own, not really my thing. I liked it, but that's about it. And I'm getting really repetitive now, and I think it's time to cut this one short. I'll see you next week, hopefully in a longer, more fun video to watch. Remember, please be kind and rewind.